we'll see what
All right.
happens.
See this.
Uh, do you go by CC? I know it stands for something, Christopher, but
Yeah,
do
for
people
40 something years now, everyone calls me CC.
CC? Okay.
For a while.
Uh, I think I've just heard something weird there. Okay.
The fan in the background, there's a heater. I could shut it off.
No, I thought I
Electric.
heard a voice.
Oh,
I
okay.
heard a voice.
We already have spirits.
Well, so
The more the merrier.
I didn't plan for this. It's not a
Oh, that's
typical gas interview. I did see
what
it.
let's start with what does GAS stand for?
Okay, there's a whole long story. I'll try to make it super short.
Oh, it's not an acronym?
Yeah, well, it is now.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
I've been active in the publishing field for a long time. I started writing when I was like 10, blah, 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 blah. By the time I was living in West Germany in the mid 80s and been publishing for several decades, I had because I was overseas, it seemed to be a little more exotic, because back then, no cell phone, no computer, you had snail mail only. So it was a bigger deal to get your work, around. So I started a magazine then. And because I've been moving every couple of years, militarily related, I thought of myself as a gypsy. And back then, that was acceptable. And also on Broadway, the dancers that move around and dance with them, they're called gypsies. And it was in the dictionary as one of the definitions. It was never meant to be a slur. I-
No,
but it was,
neither was liberal.
yeah, yeah. But this actually dropped the traveling around definition. I think they've dropped it now for the dictionary. But anyway, so.
Lexicographers list words 1, 2, 3, 4 in the order of usage. Like the word cool never meant what it meant until it moves up. And then the words move up and down according to lexicographers cannot make up words. They could only record the
Right.
amount of times that they're used. Words come into that's why they have new words in the dictionary every now and then because they have to become a certain level of usage. And I think the documentation of the usage has to exist.
Okay, and if it falls, a meaning falls out of favor, I guess eventually they drop it because it
It
became a politically thing, politically
but
correct.
then there's the lexicographer wars. The Oxford used to be the king, and then the American Heritage decided to go after their throne. So and then there's the airports all over the world. All the portals of life leaving and coming back to the world run through air traffic controllers. They all have to speak in English. That is a big deal. Just like the dollar and trading oil, that's a big deal. So the portals are a big deal. So whether we live in the third or fourth dimension is questionable.
Oh, well, anyway, that's fine. We can take a long time to get to.
Oh yeah.
That's a question. All right, all right. So back in 1984, I started Gypsy Literary Magazine.
Oh,
Well,
wonderful.
hold on. Let me see. I got one. No, yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
Uh, so
Oh wow.
and it was perfect bound and everything.
Oh, perfect.
And,
Wow.
and back
Whoa.
back then it was people were doing collages for a lot for fun and they still do it, but it was like a thing. And so a friend did the front cover, but I altered it slightly because I added the words and this and then I think got ticked off and I put the names of the people and then I did the back one and that's
I-
me in 1984.
Oh wow.
And so
You're a hippie chick.
some of my heroes.
Were you a hippie chick?
No,
That,
no.
that a word?
Yeah. I was raised very strictly in the Bible Belt with lots of corporal punishment, and you
Oh
mind
wow.
your parents.
Yeah.
Tried to write about it a little bit without sounding like you know, somebody who hasn't forgiven and who probably did some of the same things with my children, just probably less severe because you know what you know and you don't know what you don't know until you know it. So in 1984, it was Gypsy. And,
Wow.
and because of people some editors I had met, and then they referred me to the other people in order to get a good lineup for the first issue. I had Bukowski, and let's see, there's some of them. Okay, Richard Castellanos. Do you remember him? He was very experimental. He's still around, but you don't know. Okay.
That's okay. I grow from I come out of rote learning. I had to survive both the wonders of my parents and who they were, and beautiful people, but they were of a different entertainment realm, and then working class, and then mom and dad and kids, and then I grew up in a town called New Britain, where basically I was being raised almost like a child who was going to go to work at a factory. I literally was 16, where school would send me to a machine shop after work. And so rote learning, and there was no Montessori, there was no sensitivity, I was dunce cap, ruler, stand against the wall. And I was just, from the age of 2 to 18, they basically convinced me that I was slow, dumb, stupid, or basically a highly functional retard. And at the same time, my outer world used to think I was 27 years old and a professor, and I'm dealing with massive low self-esteem, and I don't know it. So I also had to become what the world told me, just on the basis of seeing and being seen as a basic principle of life. So you have to become what they see in order to feel like you're being seen. And that's not your soul work. So writing and poetry or any medium, what that does is it asks you to go inside and say, who the hell am I? What am I? Why am I? Where am I? And my favorite, when am I? Oh, now we're going home.
Well, you know that the creative path saved me for sure because
Oh, absolutely.
I'm left-handed
Everyone.
to start with, and I wasn't really taught anything before school, and I never went, they didn't send me to kindergarten, so I did not even know, I knew ABCD, period, it.
Wow. I knew NAP. I got an A in NAP, I think. My kindergarten teacher was a Black woman, Laura Bellamy. And then I heard that there's even race and there are people of different colors after that. So my entire life, no one could take away that this woman had more of a calm, mothering energy for the first time in my life. My mother was a chronic talker, believe it or not. And I'm the grandson of an Armenian genocide, which is the story of my life also. And um, and so my whole life I've never been able to use my eyes or my mind to see that at all. It was already planted. That's not true, and you can't take that away. She calmed my mind and gave me something called home inside that I didn't have for the first 5 years of my life.
Wait, was
And
this
then first, my kindergarten teacher, yeah.
oh, lucky
So
you.
yeah, and then first grade I wanted to marry her. I love this story. We haven't even mentioned poetry yet. This is beautiful. So my first grade teacher was Miss Strapowitzky, and I think she was getting married, and she was going to have a baby, and I didn't know that, but I wanted to marry her, and I was dead sure I was going to marry her, right? First grade. And then my grandfather and I, we used to go to Hammonasset, a beach down on the Connecticut shoreline, and we're there, and I go over down the beach, and there's my first grade teacher that I'm supposed to marry with her husband and a new baby. And
Uh-uh.
I was so upset. And I went over, and then she introduced me to her baby and said, "Hi, this is my baby." And then the baby was named Christopher. So I go, "Oh, that's how she got over it. She couldn't have me, so she named her child after me." And I forgave her. And then my second
Oh.
grade teacher was from hell. And I just got, if the word browbeaten is real, to have your head smashed. Do this, do that, don't do that. You're wrong. You did that wrong over and over again. That literally destroyed my brain for almost the next 60 years. I'm still dealing.
Well,
I can,
that was my upbringing. So,
yeah. So I resonate
uh,
deeply with
uh,
it.
but
But with everyone that's listening, I want them to know that you are not what the world told you you are. Even if you have to start on your 91st birthday, that this is not your life, and you never really got to be the reason you were born. And so I deal with that is what's ever happening to you, that is your soul lesson. Embrace it. I call it the blessed curse. Whatever your curse is in life, whatever your trauma is in life, whatever thing happened to you, it doesn't forgive the rapists and the murderers and pedophiles and men who've never passed that I'm a sperm cell but never found out that's all they ever were. We'll go there if you want.
a little far out, but I totally agree. It takes a while though. At least it did me. It took me a good while to forgive others for their treatment in order that I could like now I got what I got. Now it's up to me to do better, to learn, to grow, to because people only did what they knew how to do.
That's it.
And they would, I mean, I don't think
There's
there's
many
always,
forms of
yeah,
Go ahead. There's many forms of intelligent ignorance. Many.
right. Almost no one, there's always an exception, but almost no one sets out to ruin the life of their children or really any of the negative things, really. But
Yeah.
it's a whole
No,
bunch of
the devil thinks he's the good guy and God's the bad one.
Uh, so anyway, the question was about Gypsy. Okay, I published Gypsy for 10 years.
Wow.
6 of those years was in West Germany, and then El Paso, Texas. I think one year, maybe 1 year, one issue came from North Carolina. And then
I was in Hanau, outside of Frankfurt. It's the only time I ever traveled outside the country.
really,
Very,
Hannah,
that's West Germany.
were you in the Vietnam War?
No, 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 no. I visited someone. That's
Oh,
I have many lives. That was one of my 700 lives. Yeah.
oh,
I was there for 3 months.
oh, it was probably great, right?
It
Far
was
out.
it was great. It was 08 maybe 9.
Is that
I don't
North
know.
Vietnam or South? Or
No, no, no. I was in Hanau. Hanau
Hannah?
was in Germany, north of Frankfurt.
I was thinking,
Oh,
boy.
Hanoi. Hanau. Oh, that's why you said that. Yeah.
The,
Yeah. No,
that's
that's okay. That's
that's
why you
another
said it. Yeah.
thing. I put together things in my head.
No, the day they lowered the draft, they raised the draft from 18 to 21. I turned 18. And the day they lowered it from 21 back to 18, I turned 21. So I never had to register. I was in this window of like 3.5 years where you didn't have to register if you were until you were 21. And I was in that little window. I would have not fought. I would have volunteered to walk up to the enemy with a piece of paper saying, let's not go to war. But yeah, I'm not afraid of guns. I'll walk, the bullet go right through you. He's like, that you win.
Have you
You
no
know,
fear of death? You have no fear of death?
when I went through my mute period, which is a story that I shouldn't bring up because it's an entire 7 books right there. But I didn't stop speaking. It's just what I named it. But when my life crashed, and to tie this into the people listening, if your life has a severe like wipe of reality, where your yesterday is gone, who you were, what you were, and everything about you just disappears in a moment, and you can't go back. That's a good moment to find out that should have happened, because that's the trigger where you could say, I haven't even begun to find out why I'm here, what I was born, and what I'm supposed to do here. And that's when you could begin to not blame or hate, or as the Dalai Lama says, I think it was the Dalai Lama, you don't have to forgive anybody for anything ever. You only have to forgive within yourself.
Yeah. Yes.
And that job done. The job is done. You don't have to forgive your rapist. You have to forgive that your rapist is in you, and that anger and that hate. That's where the victimizer gets switched. That's where Netanyahu becomes Hitler. The Jew becomes the Zionist. See, the reason that my grandfather is so important, and the reason that I live this life where humanity actually matters to me, and this dimension is not that big of a deal. The third dimension is not that big a deal. Quantum physics has also saved me. And being tangential as a poet, and having a conversation like this that can go anywhere with your open mind between two people about what is life and who are we, how we get here, and what are words and what are we saying, and where's this story starting, middle, and end, and Gypsy and your parents and your history, and you're working with the homeless and your family and your upbringing and your kids. It all seems, but it's really just one thing. You're born, live, and die. And life is a miracle. Life is a miracle. And don't waste that next breath on it's yours. and you're here, and what are you doing here? Even if it's just to find peace and just erase it all. Just
And
let it all go, because the last moment is not the next, and that's yours. The next moment is not the last billion moments of your life. The earth ended, air ended, water ended, soil ended, the planet ended, reality. Now go ahead, now complain. When somebody dies in your arms, something happens, not to everybody. They call it now a shared death experience. And it happened to a dear friend who I just got off the phone with 3 weeks before Kathleen died. And 3 weeks later, we were on our way to his memorial, and that happened to me. So it was like a twin situation. And it's her course and her life and what's happened to her since then is very different than what happened to me. But I went straight to my soul and my mind, and I am one mind, I am one brain, I am one heart, I am one energy, and I'm here. And I can't follow any story from that day, October 27, a year ago, almost today, a year and 10 days ago. So, or about that, it's the 17th day of this recording. So what I'm trying to do in this conversation with you is not make it about you or me or the recording, but about anyone who hears it. So that the life of a poet, the life of an artist, the life of to give is to be gone. When you give something, it's gone. Nobody owes you anything. The tree doesn't owe you the oxygen that the tree gave you for the breath. It's done. There's the next breath. It's an equilibrium. And reality has to take a back seat to the miracle of that. I totally am at the place right now in my life that only miracles. I'm all done with reality, and I have to live in it.
but reality is manufactured, what we call reality.
Yeah, but reality in quantum physics is any and all possibilities already exist.
Uh,
Every single possible next moment is already real for you, for the world, for life, for reality. It is a reality. It comes into form. It's form and formlessness. It's why they can't figure out the quantum computer and how powerful it is, because we're the quantum computer. We're both on and off, up and down, in and out. The third dimension, our bandwidth of sight and our bandwidth of smell and our bandwidth of hearing is tiny. The hearing, seeing, and smelling and vision is a gigantic bandwidth that we can measure so far with what they call those kind of microscopes. And in and out, I had a great conversation. Have you interviewed Joe Kidd and Shirley Burke yet? That's fun. I did.
I think I did. Joe Kidd is on the Beat Life side, or is he?
Yeah.
I've dealt with him a little bit though.
Yeah. You got to watch my interview with them. It's on the internet. I did a bunch at the festival in New Hartford every year,
Well,
and I put about 5 of them on the internet. It's called It's in conversation with.
well, I noticed you had several sites. Uh,
Yeah.
I subscribed to about four of them.
Oh yeah. They're out
I
there.
think there's more out there, right? So
Yeah. No.
I also have a bunch, but I forgot the and the email. You had to have a different email for each site, and so over the years, not only did I forget the password, the emails were erased, but it was just there's like five.
Yeah.
It was just things that I didn't want to put directly, like this is about me. Like one of them was Alice Whitebread, which was political. I live on the border of Mexico, and there's always
Oh,
drama.
right now. Right
Yeah,
now.
this is my about the 30th year I've been here.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I
Is
mean,
there is there the wall outside your house?
no, but it's not that far down.
Oh wow.
The whole unique culture here, and we're overall a loving, liberal-ish in the best way, empathetic, meaning empathetic and wishing each other uh, well. And many people have connections to Mexico. Some might have been born there and became citizens. Some might have be working with a green card. Some may just be. humbly working to clean someone's house for 40 bucks, and then they go back to their home and they may or may not have official whatever. But then there are people who had generations of people, back there, but they came over here when they were a child and they grew up not even speaking Spanish and has no accent.
I think ICE is at your door.
And they
That's
might,
a bad joke. It's a terrible
no, so
bad.
their name may be Jose Manuel Lopez, and they have a nice
But
tan.
their mother's Jane Smith from New Jersey.
Well, here's the thing: they have the name, they have the look, but they
Yeah.
don't know that much except what their relatives from Mexico have told them, or what their mom told them back when maybe they lived there as a children. And they
Mhm.
are definitely so super American, and they certainly appreciate and love their country of heritage, Mexico.
Let me say something about that. That's important because that's another thing that life tells us we are. We're born and we come, we're in our mother, we're in our home, we're in our family, we're in our neighborhood, we're in our community, we're in our town, our city, our state, and our country. That's not who we are. We're born, and somebody somewhere along the line, someone forgot to tell us that every person born starts out another human being. And this identity thing that we are, and maybe identity is an overused and it's become a political football, but it shouldn't. Anyway, we're people. And somehow along the line, it's like, I'm an American, or I'm a this, or I'm both, or no, you're neither. I'm a religion. I'm my sexuality. I'm my thing. No, it's like, first and foremost, I'm a person. Love and be loved.
Well,
See and be seen. Hear and be heard.
but we
That,
are trained. We are trained that way.
we're trained because we belong to a fear system. We belong to a reality of fear that we are an other and they are an other.
Yeah,
We are our humanity is de-identified. Do you know the only time people ever say we're human is when they say I'm a human, but all those other people around me are not as good as me. That in and of itself is the definition of I am not a human being. And
see,
it's erased. And as poets and as artists, I think we should start to become aware that we are addressing inhumanity incarnate, perpetual inhumanity incarnate. Just even if we're neighbors and we get along, that's the Smiths and that's the Jones. They like blue people and they don't eat meat. And they're only going to have a gun. And there are three different. No, they're all human beings, but we identify with being belonging to a fear system, a reality of fear of other. And that's why when you mentioned in the beginning of this, you like that what 1977, I forget his name, it's called The Denial of Death. It was a book I read. And I had trouble reading because of what school did to me. Reading was really hard. Because I would read one line in my mind. I was an emotional, I was a sensitive, I was an intuitive. I could feel things. I could look at a person and know if they're crying on the inside when they're laughing. I grew up with a brother who started lying when he was 5 and he committed suicide. He never stopped lying his whole life. So I have this, I know what energy in the room feels like before I knew what words felt like.
wow.
So if somebody said something, if somebody read something to me, to be an intuitive or it's not like I'm an intuitive, I'm an empath, I'm a psychic. Psychics used to call me psychic. It's like, no, I'm just trying to survive what the world told me I am versus that I'm a being. And your soul is a being. You come into being and your being has a soul. And when you die, you're so if you believe that the energy cannot be created or destroyed, that's science, that's math. But the big thing about science and religion, which I recently did an experiment, and I was a lyric writer and I wanted to do piano, but I think Zoom doesn't work. So it's really hard not to get tangential when you're talking about the meaning of life and then talking to people with you, a person, and then addressing world and life and a point in time where we are a life form within the span of clocks and calendars are something we made up. Just
Yeah.
like a conversation goes from one point and then all of a sudden I'm talking about my grandfather and then I'm talking about wars and then I'm talking about a borderline. It's one conversation.
Mhm.
Words to poets, words, as soon as words are not tools, They are weapons. They're weapons of a belief. My poem is better than your poem. It's just we're sounds and syllables. We're vibrations. Tesla had it right, but they bitch slapped Tesla and they buried him because energy is free. Because cell phones are free. We don't need plugs. We don't need electricity. It's free. But we're kept stupid because of money is real. And money is invented. The value of money, what is money, is invented. They almost didn't make Star Trek because there was no money in Star Trek. They almost didn't let him make Star Trek because there was no money until they
Well,
brought the Ferengis in years on because they had the casino between planets.
everything would seem, well,
That's a good accent. Everything would sing. Say that.
okay, well, no, I'm trying to say that.
I'm sorry.
Where was I? Duh.
Exactly. Where was I? You're here now. Go.
I'm here now. Oh, by the way, so in 1994, I stopped the publication of the magazine Gypsy, but because my life changed, I went to nursing school and got a divorce, and everything changed, and I was very busy. And in about 2003, I got, I kind of missed it. So I decided to, I don't,
Mm.
I'm not wild about this, but a friend did it for me, and I didn't want to have to pay for a run of books. And before the internet was real popular, before Amazon, before you could get perfect bound on demand, you had to buy like 1,000 copies of something to get a decent
Print run.
yeah, or 500 and you got a couple of $1,000s in it. People don't know how lucky they are and how almost laughable some of the stuff that happens now is. But anyway, it was still before people were using computers very much. And I may have it was 2004. We had computers, but it was still mostly dial-up. And so it's kind of weird. I've got this kind of cartoonish thing. And
Oh, that art is now in museums. But go on.
and
More
then
like
I
dot matrix. But
I
yeah.
decided the accepted work that I would this is called loose leaf gypsy.
Oh,
And I was in El Paso back then too. So the work that was accepted, I typeset, which is what we called it still, because now it's just automatic on your computer. We had computer, but anyway. So I
yeah, yeah, yeah.
made it very nice, and it's very heavyweight paper, at least 20 or no, 100 pound or something.
Oh,
And
wow.
and I did a few people um on backgrounds just because, and I
Oh,
think
wow.
I had in the
Have
back,
you ever broken even on a single issue?
okay, and then some people sent art.
Oh,
I had printed, made enough copies of. So that was in the back flap. So what this is what do you call these things? They use them in school. You put your report in the middle and your other materials you put here. Then I put a business
yeah.
card and see the back had the art.
That ends up perfect bound when you show it sideways.
Well, it's a
Oh, that one's not perfect
no,
bound.
it's
Okay.
not perfect bound. I put it together. It's loose leaf gypsy. I was just
Oh, I
fine.
got it. The other ones are not like that. Okay. All right.
Yeah, some were perfect
I've
bound.
never seen that style. That's a good print. So if somebody wants to do that for the people watching here, I do it. I like to pay attention to when these things happen, that it's about people watching.
Mm.
How would somebody go about doing that? What is it called again? It's loose leaf.
Loose leaf. I called it loose leaf gypsy because I was still going by that name,
Yeah,
and
it's like a school thing. It's like, I
yeah,
mean,
but it was very, very expensive. And I
when you
got
post this, put it underneath in there. If you ever want to make one of these books, blah blah blah, go here.
if you own your own Xerox machine, and you can get a good deal on a decent paper, um, you're still going to cost you a whole lot of money, and you will not break
Yeah.
even on this. But now I have broken even on and this one for sure. That's in collections and it's sold as a rare book. And
Oh, nice, nice, nice,
keep
nice.
talking a minute. I'm gonna grab something.
All right. So, all right. So this is it. It's not an easy thing for the others who's sticking around here while she goes digging in the background here. If you're going to publish somebody, almost every poet that publishes their own stuff
Right, of course. Well, here's another.
puts out. They have to pretty much go. I mean, if you're going to make a decent book, even a chap book, you're in it. You're in it for between 100 and 500 to $1,000 to $2,000, and then you sell them for $15 or $5 a piece and give them away. It's not an easy journey. You really have to
You
do
have to
this
love it.
like it doesn't yet, and
It's
don't compromise your work for the sale ever.
right
If you make 100 copies and sell five, those 90 copies you didn't sell are worth hanging out in the world somewhere.
somewhere.
Then
Yeah.
then then 100 copies sold, all compromised because you wanted people to buy it.
So it was a matter of honor back in the 80s and 90s, at least the people that I knew that were editors and publishers and stuff, to always give copies, submitters to contributors. And then you sent to universities and other magazines that you were sharing. And it cost you money to publish their work. And they haven't,
Yes.
they might complain, I didn't get paid. Well, you went in debt for that. Well, here's another what another double.
For those of you watching and you're ever upset you didn't get published, press pause, go back a few seconds, and you hear that last line again. They're not only not getting paid, they are time, money loss,
Yeah.
and publishing you. And then it's like, where's my money?
Well, yeah. Well, this is in the old days that you were so dedicated to what you were doing that you were willing to do this.
There's versions of it today, but go on.
I kept looking for a new and different or maybe cheaper way. So this was just put together with the what do you call that? Just
Yeah, it's a kind of spiral.
you still have to have somebody else help you with it. So it still costs.
Yeah.
So what I did is have people to send me. In this case, they contributed something. They contributed like 300 copies on whatever paper they wanted, and it expressed themselves however they
Oh,
wanted. So you have, you
oh,
know,
that's a brilliant one. I've never heard this one.
uh,
Let me
and
see if I hear you right for the people listening here. You, instead of submitting a poem, you submit your poem, and if they want it, and it's going to be in the book, you write them back and say, I'm going to make 300 books, send me 300 copies,
right,
and then you just correlate them.
right, and there's still a certain amount of because you make. I have to make the copy, so that's expensive. No, no, no,
No, no, no. Okay. Oh, I
you're
like the accident I made. I thought you actually had them.
I
You
did.
want,
In this one, yes, I did.
oh,
Yes,
okay.
but that other way, so it gives a piece of them, an actual piece of them, and of course they sign it somewhere. And
Wow.
uh, in this particular one, I didn't view the work before I accepted it. I just put out, sent 300 copies of work in a very expressive way. And it didn't occur to me there'd be some wild ass stuff like, but it's okay with me. But I was an officer's wife in the military when I did that. Well, anyway, that's a whole bunch of other stories. So, um, I think, have you published, created, I bet you have, magazines and books for yourself and others?
Yes, I am writing a book called East Mountain House, and this I was writing. That's my art, and this is a book that I'm putting together for a Zen go here and die naturally concept between nursing home and the hospice and the hospital and centers where you go to die. Um, this woman and this guy Kevi Bedell and I think his name the guy was Greg. Um, they just opened. It took them a year, and I went to their art opening to raise money for over a year ago, and I heard the idea. I said, I write that. That's where I write. Death and Dying on that line. I bought a book called Death and Dying, not the Kubler-Ross, but there was an MIT version, and I was working on all of that. And the subtitle of the book is Dying. What a beautiful word. And so I went out and bought a saddle stapler, which is a stapler where you put the paper like this, and it comes down on an angle, a knife edge, and you do that. So that's like and then I bought this printer. I have a $700 printer back there. That's a beautiful printer with a toner in it. and it costs about 500 to load it, but it lasts a half a year or better, and it prints both sides, and it's got a scanner encrypt, blah 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 blah. And then I bought the hard stock cover, and I bought one of those paper cutters from school, but it's an expensive one where you can go through 500 sheets of paper. And I got the hard stock, and I made my own chapbooks at home. I can make them one at a time. And so, yeah, that's probably, an investment there. But once you're up and running, you could
Right.
do that. And then my first 3 chapbooks were done publishing, and they ended up in a book that's now perfect bound. And this is a life work. This is a life work that I can get into. But I made them, and I'm terrible at selling them. So, and then I published Kathleen before she died, because one day I was sitting there talking to her. She goes, "I don't write poetry, and you can't make me." That's a story. And so I go, "That's the name of your book, and I'm going to publish you." A year later, she started writing poetry. A year later, I sat down with a stack of 600 poems. She would get up every day and write.
Oh,
And we took, and I went through, and it took me over about 40 days, maybe 5, 8 hours a day. I edited all of them, and I put them into like 10 different piles. And the ones that maybe fit into that one were about 100. And we picked about 10, and we published them, and the book went out, and she did readings, and she got published, and she's been to the beat meetings. And then we even went to New Eureka, and she did her first poetry reading on stage. And then she started, because she was organized, unlike me. So she's in like a bunch of anthologies. And then she died,
oh,
and that's a whole other story. She was only 71, but that's an amazing story. And the reason I bring it up is because that's my life work. That the art of who you are is really what it's about. To be and become what and who you are and why you're here, and then to understand who we are, what we are, and why we're here, and what the next moment is. So if you're going through life in any art form, if I may say this, because I know you got a great story and you're teaching a lot of people about your journey, and see, you cared about many, many other people. I had to survive the fact that I am not nothing or no one. And to do that, I had to almost become nothing and no one. I had to accept that whatever it is I am is not a something or a someone, but a blank slate, and a being, and a life force, and a choice. And I'm here, and I'm gone, and I live in time and space in the arc of this thing called history. And there's a dimensional, we live in the third dimension, and all that had to deconstruct into just being. And then soul, and before and after, and the continuum. And you almost have to, and it's quantum. What happened is that when I was writing my first book, going through am I illiterate or am I a poet? I started writing, and people said my stuff was too intense, I'm multidimensional, too metaphysical. Nobody understands you. I get it, they go. And then, so I started going to Stone Soup every Monday for 10 years. And then I went to a ton of them. And then there's another whole story why the book happened. And after the poetry reading, I would say, "Well, thank you. Oh, that was great." They go, "Well, what did you like?" "Oh, it was good." "Can you remember a line?" "No, it was good stuff. I like your work." It was really hard to get negative feedback, anything. But then all of a sudden, it's like people say, "Yeah, I get it, blah, 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 blah," especially the deeper stuff. And what happened is that, "Well, how come you understand?" I go, "What do you do?" I go, "Oh, I'm an MIT. I'm a physics student." And I learned gradually that being and becoming yourself is the same as physics. Who are we? What are we? Where are we? Why are we? When are we? What is life? What is death? What is a cell? What is a molecule? What is reality? That's just the edge of what we know. And the edge of what we know is physics. The lobotomy was once science. "You don't believe in science? You got a headache? I got a drill. Let me fix you." "Oh, you don't believe in science." Science is we don't know. Religion is we know. Theology has to live within reason. It can't leave it. You take 2 theologists from 2 different religions, they could argue and agree all they want, but they're not going to leave their reason for living, their reason for being, their understanding of what is life and what is God. Can't merge at a point where their God is the same. And then they can go to war. And then the empire owns the religion, which goes all the way back to Isis and Osiris and the sun and the moon. And oh my God, the sun and the moon. And all of a sudden there's a brother and sister out there. So so quantum physics figured out that if a particle, and this, every 5-year-old should learn about the split theory, that this is reality, and when it's observed, it's not. And it's a wave, and it's a part. And so as soon as something comes into form, then nothing matters. Nothing. What one of the greatest lines I think I ever wrote is, somewhere there must be the origin of love. If you erase everything, all time, all space, all matter, and there's nothing and nothing and nothing and nothing and nothing, somewhere there must be the origin of love inside nothing and no one and nowhere. And that's where you start when, who am I, what am I, where? And you never stop asking that beautiful question. Wars can't happen in there. My favorite word is benevolence, because it's a and I've got 25 years into the human room open voice concept, where I plan on leaving on this earth something that I can't give away because there's no me in it. Imagine a social media platform that's YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, the internet, all the cables, all the satellites, all the URLs, and it's owned only by all people of the earth. No one can own it. And imagine inside that there's a monetary system where what is money is actually as fluid as water. And what is reality is owning the water line. And if we drink all the water, we flood the reality. And if we dehydrate, and then it becomes a desert planet or reality, it dies, or we flood it and you can't even live on it or whatever. There's no land or whatever, but there's no equilibrium. So the equilibrium. So I wrote these 10 principles of involvement. So a social media platform that is that has an equilibrium. It is self-sustaining, just like the earth, just like air, soil, and what's like the sky is not going to argue with the bottom of the ocean. A drop of water isn't going to argue with an ice cube or a cloud. They die. It doesn't die, but it sustains itself. So imagine that that's where reality lives as a fluid, but it's always a creative process. And so what is money is built into it. What is getting paid and what is paying. So the idea of what is money, the zero, the one, and the decimal point, that's why we're killing each other. That's where fascism, racism, nationalities, wars, empires, slave systems, propaganda, realities are all slave systems to a certain degree, as soon as you're willing to fight and die and kill the other over it.
So I just want to ask, how long did it take for you to get this smart? And
I'm not. No. I'm not. Smart is a dangerous word. I'm not smart. I
Noam
do
Noam
not.
Chomsky, for instance, and there are plenty of names I can't remember, but who have written about how something of what you said. And it's
Okay.
almost like a long-term plan to keep control, something. Just
I
like,
know what you're talking about. Yeah.
yeah.
The belief, the consignment with belief. When you agree with the belief system, you have to cooperate with. I know the term that Chomsky uses. I get it. Most people know it. It's the name of one of his books, right? Consent. Something about consent.
No, I don't remember all that, but
But is that what you? Oh, maybe I'm thinking
the
of one thing you
political
do.
things that go on
Okay.
doesn't just poof happen. It's a
Yes.
long plan. I learned that from reading his work. But I can't remember details enough and names enough to make myself.
That doesn't matter. That just your next breath matters. The fact that you now know somewhere in your mind that whatever Chomsky gave you, all the books that he read, all the things that he said, basically what you're saying is that, yeah, there's more air here. I'm not trapped in this bubble of this is real and this isn't. But what if that's not true? Then that's not true. And if that happened, then well, when did that start? And that just gives you room to breathe.
Well, you realize everything is constructed or something.
Well,
um,
form is not formlessness.
yeah,
I Do Not
before.
Know was the name of my I had a radio show for 3.5 years called the I Do Not Know Show. And the reason I named it that is because I accidentally was a guest poet on a radio show, and it happened to be a fundraiser at a college where the radio station was half community and half student run. And the girl doing the radio show was sitting next to the president of the radio. So school had a system where the radio was run only by students, and you had to be a senior to be the president. And then they're like, whatever. So the guy was raising money, and the first phone call that came was from Anne Marie, who Mike and Anne Marie. Mike died, Kathleen died. It just got off the phone with her. So that was many, many years ago. So he said, "You'd make a good radio host." And I was doing poetry reading at the bookstore, college bookstore downstairs at Wesleyan University in Middletown. And it's like, "Oh, okay." So he goes, "Well, you got to take this test." And so I took the test. And at the end of it, I sit there and he goes, "Okay, what do you want to do?" I don't know. But what I learned taking the test and how to be a DJ on the radio is that you can't just say anything at all. You can't do a call to action. You can't say, "Everyone meet. I'm on the radio tomorrow at City Hall in front of the Capitol. Everyone show up with their signs. We're gonna, shove a stick up the governor's ass and tell him that we're human and he's not God, something like that." Not literally shove the stick up his ass. That would be a crime. We don't want to do that.
I
So,
always wanted to be
but that's when I realized if the name of my radio show is "I Do Not Know What I'm Talking About," the "I Do Not Know" show, then I can say anything.
and you can't go be wrong.
Because what do I know? And that's free. There's a freedom to not knowing. There's a freedom to physics. There's a freedom to science. There's a freedom to religion. There's a freedom to poetry. There's a freedom to I am a person. I'm a nationality. I'm an ethnicity. I'm a this. I'm a person. I belong to this. I'm one of those kinds of religions. I'm this. I believe in that. I'm an atheist. It doesn't matter.
Not fair.
As soon as you're not, I am this moment, and I will be something even more. I am not more. I mean, are you more intelligent than air? I mean, imagine how intelligent air is, but it's like, "I'm smart." You couldn't say that without a breath, without oxygen, without the heart, without blood pumping to your brain, and then your brain is actually not dead.
That's why you brought up the word smart, which
Yeah, I jump on that.
What I really was trying to say, how many years did it take you to begin seeing this way? Because that is not automatic. It's a long road. It was a long road for me to begin to see. And I'm sure I've got much more to see.
Yeah, but you don't because the beautiful thing about the reason I wanted to meet you, because I get this from your energy, is you're already here now.
Oh,
That the job of fixing the past or how long it took you to get to the present means that you're already at the cusp of the present, but you're bringing the past with you. So basically, this entire conversation, you're already here now. You can make the next moment as beautiful as you want and not know what you're talking about, but you'll be free of how long it took time to get here because we were born in time and told we live in time, and we're born in space and told we're living space, but then we're told what that space is and we have to conform
yeah.
to the reality of that. But really, artists are the ones that live at the very edge of what is reality. What is beauty? I once went to a Monet exhibit when I was living in Boston, Cambridge. And it was the biggest Monet exhibit ever. It was people from around the world flew in for months. It was packed for months on end. It was a huge exhibit, like 7-10 rooms of all Monet's work. And I'm walking up and I'm looking at the painting and I was like, wow, because they're all the same. A lot of it's the same. I go, wow, how come him and nobody else is this famous? Why? What him? I go, it's paint. It's just dawned on me. It's a guy with a brush. He puts a little red, a little blue, and he goes like that. And he leaves it there, and the whole thing is like it's paint. But what did he do? The other artists. What did Picasso do? What did Rembrandt do? What? They said this is beautiful when the world said it wasn't. You found beauty that already existed, and you made it and gave it your life to it. And when the world said, that's not this, nobody puts two eyes on the right side of it. The mouth isn't at the top of the head, you idiot. How come Mona Lisa's not smiling? God damn, is she smiling? Is she not smiling? And what's her hands doing in the picture? She's a peasant. You're not supposed to put back then you're not supposed to paint somebody with the and she was a person. When he got the commission, I heard to go, that was the one painting he took with him was the Mona Lisa to finish. And And it wasn't supposed to be her. And you're not supposed to show the more parts of the body like that. And she wasn't royalty; she was a person. So that's why it's so valuable. So what is money? And how come when people die and the economies crash and worlds crash, and even Hitler, he went and picked up all the art, took the gold out of people's mouths, you know? And what's happening now is just they're frightened animals. It's frightened. They're not human. Humanity is what is humanity? What is a human being if I'm an American and standing next to me is a German person and it's 1945? Does that mean we're both not human? What is an ICE agent? Is an ICE agent not human? They don't know that they're choosing in humanity, that they're indoctrinated in a fear system. And you have to belong to that fear. And the enemy is out there. It's not inside. There's no creativity there. You're a soldier of fear, a servant of fear. You're a servant of fear in a reality that is a construct. And you were killed for that, to protect your safety and your fear and your love for the people who are as afraid as you are, but they're the ones you love.
Wow. You're something else. I'm
And
really, it's very few people can see like that.
and I am still recovering from low and no self-esteem.
Well, me too, for sure. Woo.
And we all are. And you have to, and the only way to really do it, I think, is just go in. There's nothing out there. The brain can see no light. Your brain has never seen light. It's dark inside a skull. We make images, we make sights, we make sounds, all processed through neurons. And the brain developed. I had to learn about physics because learning about poetry and poets is the same thing. This is the edge of what I know, and this is provable. And what's the next question? It's not about intelligence in the form of what is smart. Chess is one of the stupidest games in the world. It is a two-dimensional, 64 square, flat game. Pac-Man is about as intelligent as chess. You can't get out. You set up twin armies. They're facing each other. They're fixed in a position. They're both completely identical, except they're different. They have the same number of moves and they live under the same set of rules. One goes first. That's it. And it's a fight to the death until the other cannot go. It's a game of war and death to extinction. And when computers came online, we tested how intelligent is a machine going to be against how intelligent we are, and they made them play chess. That's how stupid we are. I don't like the word stupid at all, but that is not intelligent. That is the edge of intelligence measuring itself on a system of insanity and war and death to annihilation. Who's smarter? That is an extinction game. That's why the Squid Game on Netflix is so important, because we're playing to the death of have and want and need and me and self. And you have to form teams of enemies who are going to form teams of enemies until there's only one person left with two ears, and their two ears are going to, which ear is going to win?
But
the battle for the brain and the heart.
if you radically do not want to be a part of this particular Earth game, and you have empathy and you truly want to just see humans as humans, your fellow souls, and if you truly want that, you're labeled ugly things now.
There's reality telling you that you not belong to the earth and the air and the water. Is not. Give me a drop of water, put it in my hand. I love you. That's another being. Do you know how much intelligence there must be in a drop of water?
Everything.
Compared to a person? But it's like, yeah, get off my head. Oh, you got a spot of water on me. We think we're superior to air and water and soil.
We're not only made of them, we are the same.
Yeah, on some level, we're responsible. The difference is That's why when the what's his name is saying the most wealthiest person in the world, the person with the most zeros, ones, and decimal points gets a platform to say what the fate of our species, and we give him a microphone, and then he buys the president.
Hmm.
The president is up Hitler's bun in a big way, literally saying just America, white, racist. And then you put two blue-eyed people in a room and you make them the two biggest people in America. One of them is going to have bluer eyes and kill the other. It doesn't end. It's chess. That's the insanity of intelligence without wisdom. And we're there. We're at the cusp of a species on an evolution, and all just like words are tools or weapons. We said in the beginning. So is reality. So I'm going miracles. It's just miracles. This conversation is a miracle.
How do you describe a miracle?
A miracle is that the very next moment of your life has to do with the full understanding that your next thought is the sum of every single possibility out there, and you choose the most benevolent one, and the world is you and you are the world, and they come into alignment, and that is your next moment of reality. That's a miracle. No
Wow.
one's asked me that question before. I have no idea what I just said, but that's what I said. See,
Wow.
I don't know what I just said. That's poetry. When
Yeah.
you pick up pen and when you pick up your pen and you write your next poem, that is what your mind is doing, only you slow it down to ink and pencil or typing.
Mm.
You're just taking all that impossible time, beyond space, beyond reality, before thought, and you're putting in your purest sense of intent in there, and you're trying to what I call say the ineffable, to say what is impossible to say at the height of being able to articulate. That's a poem. You know, when Ugg and Og said grunt and they knew I'm hungry, you're cute. It's like, yeah, let's kiss each other and I won't force you.
Uh,
He had no words.
well, this is related to that. It just popped into my head. I was once on a Texas peace mission thing without trying to describe what that was, but I was in Jordan uh, interviewing Iraqi refugees. And Jordan had a terrible problem of having to accept so many hundreds of thousands. It disrupted them. Um, anyway, so I didn't speak.
But what happened to that? You wanted to say something
I
about that.
didn't speak Arabic, but we every time we got a driver, they spoke Arabic. A lot of them were refugees too, and so we had to tell them where we wanted to go and what we wanted to do, and I only had like 4 or 5 words phonetically, and pantomime and eyes and point, and somehow because I had a friend who I only met on the trip that was staying where I was staying, we formed our own bubble and we were able to pantomime and 2 or 3 word get around all over Jordan. And there's many more stories there, but I just wanted to make the point related to what
What was this? What was the soul lesson? What did you go into and come out of it as a peace person? What happened? What did you accomplish? Life form to
I,
life form.
I don't know
Being a
that
quarterback.
I'm not sure if I accomplished anything for anybody else, but possibly it's still up on the internet somewhere. Unlikely story.
What did it do for you? What did it do for
What
you?
it
How did
did
it
for me,
transform you?
I learned specifically, I mean, in Earth terms specifically, what some of what they said that the Americans had done to them, a lot of them had helped the Americans do whatever they wanted done. Like they probably paid them a little bit and whatever, and promised that they would get them out if they needed or whatever. Well, these are things beyond their control, but so many of these people were promised things, and at least they were able to get out of the country. And there were a lot of disappointments. There was a lot of a bunch of political stuff, bad from everybody had been bad. Okay. And I learned a lot of actual facts of that.
Oh, yeah.
And then there were just like they were the lucky ones actually that made it out and that someone was paying rent. But I did see somebody holding up in a tiny room with several kids with mildew on the wall and the guy missing a leg, and they had directly been experienced physically. So it just pushes everything close to it's more real to see the truth than to read it because when you read something, you don't know if it's 100% real. It's someone else's perception of it. You get your own perception when you're actually there and you see people who went through this trauma.
What did it mean to them that you even cared?
Uh,
And
that would be hard to say. I'm sure that it must have
I mean,
meant
you
something.
listened to them. You gave them your attention. You came with the intent
Uh,
of peace. You said, "What's your story?" You tried to. You brought empathy to chaos. You brought a sense of treating them like a person when they're just basically stuck between survival, between one rock hard place, another rock hard place, and maybe three more, and they're just still alive. Uh, Lots of right and lots of wrong. A lot of wrong is right, a lot of right is wrong, but they're not dead and they're still here and they have some iota of, you know, being one of the 1 million people who all voted for Saddam Hussein in their
mhm.
election. So the people that we killed and the people that we got out and the people that had to run were people.
People, yeah, yeah.
When two countries go to war, the Russian soldiers are people. The Jewish soldiers are people. The American military and governors and Milley, those are people. We're not enemies of our own of our indoctrinated fears, and we have to kill or be killed, eat or be eaten.
Well,
That's not human. It's
this is
inhumanity perpetuate. We're at the cusp of the end of endless empires, and we're going to make it as a species. That's what's happening in this recording. That's why I said let's go anywhere.
yeah. Well,
Because
okay.
this is
Have you seen military manuals? It's like they don't use language that refers to humans. It's like weapons are like anti-personnel devices, or would be a bomb. And
yeah, George Carlin covered that one
oh,
well.
yeah, okay. Well, I have seen those. I've been connected to the military slightly by husbands.
Have you read your husband's oath of office? In
What?
order to become a military soldier, you have to take an oath of office.
That was my first and my second husband.
So, do you have a copy of their oath of office?
No, but I was at swearing in and all that kind of thing, but I don't
Can you
remember. It
can
was
you get
years
a copy?
ago. Huh?
Can
Okay.
you get a copy?
All right. All right.
Before October 18th, which is tomorrow, find that oath of office, go live on Facebook and say, "This is the oath of office my ex-husbands took to become a soldier." And in it should be the words that I am ordered to disobey an illegal order.
Oh my gosh. No, no, but people will not do it though.
No, but that is exactly what Milley is doing all over the internet, and that's why Trump says he's going to fire the general, and they're firing generals.
Oh,
They're putting CEOs of the tech bros inside the military at a high rank that have never served.
well,
I mean, what's happening in America right now is the end of endless empires. They literally just want it all white. They don't want no black, no brown, and no liberal people at all. Just kill them all. They're enemies.
well,
And
wait,
Antifa means anti-fascist.
anti-fascist, which is a good thing.
No, but the Attorney General of the United States just said if you're Antifa, we're going to kill you. No questions asked. That was just said by the Attorney General.
Really? But
Yes, Bondi said that. And she goes, "You are Hamas, you are ISIS, and we will. And if you are that, you're our enemy, and we're going to do everything to
well,
stop
if
you."
you're against fascism, which is all that is,
Oh no, what they did is they demonized the word Antifa. They didn't say you're anti-fascist. They said if you're Antifa, you are Hamas, you're ISIS, and you're Taliban.
well, I'm not identifying with
I'm
Antifa.
Antifa. we're all Antifa. If you're anti-fascist, George Washington was Antifa.
I know, but in the way the word's been twisted as
It's
this
exact.
part of a terror organization, I do not identify at all with that because I've
Those
never.
aren't words. Those are teeth and claws.
Yeah.
Those are weapons. Those are cannibals. They're cannibals. Progressive, liberal.
Right, right.
You might as well, to watch Fox News is like watching an episode of Night of the Living Dead or Walking Dead. They're just gonna.
Have you noticed? It came to my mind, and I hope I can say it before I forget it. Something you said a while ago about the seeing each other, seeing human to human, and rather than these labels. Uh,
Yeah.
Many times in my life, I can use my father as an example. He was brought up to be racist because that's how it was in there. So I would hear in that region, I would hear slurs about blacks. But the ones he knew were always the exception because he dealt with them one on one. They had kids. He worked hard. He was just humble and nice. Well, there was no reason not to like him because he knew him a little. So everyone he actually knew, they were good. An exception to the vast majority, which is just a label without knowing them at all.
At all.
And so that's the way that
It's
most
all in a family. That's Archie Bunker and Meathead. That's Carl Reiner's son. That's how that played out. And Gloria, the daughter. That was the sitcom.
I remember.
That's what Carl Reiner had to do, and they had to fight for a lot of those episodes. They were very controversial.
Yeah.
Rod Sterling had to take a down step into Twilight Zone. Dr. Seuss had to take a down step from being a political cartoonist into being a children's book author. They were both political activists.
And then a little bit later, there
both
was
Antifa.
Smothers Brothers. I loved that.
Oh, Tommy Smothers, big fan. Oh, love that. He was genius. He had a pair. He doesn't get enough credit, but in a way, in real live way, with a shtick and a vaudevillian shtick at that, he was kind of a George Carlin before George Carlin and Lenny Bruce. He was in that realm, but it was such a different thing. They don't parallel them up enough. But Tommy Smothers was very important. Very important.
Related to that, I had the honor of meeting them. Both they were doing I guess earning some money for themselves. This was back in around 2007 or 8 at the Spencer Theater in New Mexico, in Alto, New Mexico. I was working as a stagehand because at that time I was engaged to the director of the theater. At least
at least you have a beautiful
one of the directors. Yeah. So they will ask for a closed set, but they didn't want to deal with fans. And by the way, to work there, you cannot be a fan. I mean, you cannot outwardly be a fan. If you're
to be a soldier, you can't be. You got to be apolitical too.
Right. So,
correct?
If you're meeting somebody you admired greatly for years, your insides are going, ah! But you're outside. You try to be stoic, like that. So not only was I like part of the crew, even though I didn't have a job for that one, but I was standing backstage right where the stars come in. Oh, and I've had several before who would ask me, how do I look? Does this look okay? Stuff like that. But anyway, it was okay. Dick is the one who is straight seeming, right? I mean,
yes, the upright bass player,
okay.
yeah.
And okay, so it was Tommy who came up
Tommy was the fall guy, yeah.
Before he went on stage. He asked me, "Now, who is that Indian chief, very famous from here?" And it turned out to be Comanche because it's that territory, right? But I at that moment I froze and I couldn't think. And I was kind of froze. I was like trying to think, and so he asked somebody else, and they told him. But other than that,
wasn't Chief Seattle because I used to live out in Seattle.
No, this was Comanche,
Okay.
which is it was Indian territory, and
Geronimo?
huh? No,
Geronimo?
no.
Anyway, it might have been okay, whatever. Go
I'm
go on. But he was smart.
sorry, you're
He was
right. You're right.
look at that's a good example of Tommy Smothers and intelligence. He was brilliant at being stupid. I mean,
Yeah.
Dad always he got people to laugh at how dumb he was, and he was going toe to toe with the entire network executive branch of CBS. I think it was. He
That,
was every episode. It was they tried to they were getting canceled. This is what happened to Jimmy Kimmel was he was in the right place at the wrong place at the wrong time, or the right place at the right time, depending how you look at it. And that's now he's stuck with that reality around him. Everyone, his name is now a household name on the planet Earth, and he was just a talk show guy. And he's not even a straight man. He's not even really a total comedian. He just got that job, and he wasn't afraid. It's fear. It's like you could, because Putin wouldn't let people laugh at him. If you lived in Iran, we installed the dictator. We took out you have to, you know, uh, and then the story of Armenians. It's like it was the fall of the empire. The first genocide that's recorded in such a big way is the Armenian genocide. And my grandfather raised me in his garden. No hate, no enemy, no vengeance, no, we're these people, and no, these are the people that hurt us. Never. My entire childhood, when he died, it's like, am I the only person who belongs to either the oppressed or the oppressor, or the murdered or the murderers, and was raised with no concept that I'm one of them and this is the other? He gave me that. So when my life crashed and my learning collapsed and my reality fell, and home, school, family, my business, my company, my friends, everything died, and I just stopped talking. It's like, oh, my grandfather. And I took his name and made it my last, Arshagra. It was 1984, the same time your book came out. Newspeak was out. Double speak was a term. It was actually going around, and I couldn't think or say. I wasn't sure what are words? Why am I talking? What is my reality? Everything collapsed. And then I went to this event, this international event called Joe Celli was the head of this art organization in Hartford, Connecticut. It was the beginning of Real Artways, which is huge right now. And now he has a great radio show out of WPKN. Joe Celli, shout out. He's the one who said, so I went to the art festival, was the international of all experimental art on earth. It was called New Music America. It was in LA, it was in Montreal, it was in 2 other cities. It came to Hartford. Real Artways sponsored them, and people came from all over the world. And Sun Ra was there. He goes, you're from around town. I see you all over the place. You know where to go. You see any international artist, just go up to them and say, what do you need? You take care of them. You take them around. And he goes, that guy. And he points to Sun Ra. I had no idea who this guy was or what he was at all. So I walk up to him, and the next 4 hours of my life, this guy has an entourage. I take him into a little black box theater over where Real Artways started, which was just a room. I put him in a chair in the middle. The entourage that sat around with him like a kindergarten. And for like an hour or so, he talked to them. And I don't even remember it, but I know it was off this world. The energy in the room was just a vibration. And he was way beyond jazz. He was a sonic man. And he lived like that. His art was like that. And his band was like that. His 150. So when I changed my name from Arshag, I didn't want to be my grandfather, which is another huge long story. I'm already on a tangent, into Arshagra. And I made it up, and I took my initials and I made it my first name, and I just never stopped. I started all over again. And I went into the movement arts and the healing arts for 10 years. And then that ended, and I just walked into an open mic and eventually became a poet. From one little poem that I wrote in high school on the back of a notebook that went, there is a choice what to see and there is a choice what to be, and what to see is what you believe, but let the flow within you be and always crave infinity. It was one little line. That's not exactly it, but it's close. And
Well,
then I didn't write until my 20s, and then I never stopped.
I'll say something about my name. Belinda is my middle name, and Subraman is most of my actual legal name, Subramanian. My first name is Mary. My mother's name was Mary, and I didn't want to be called her name. She was Mary. And my mother didn't call me Mary or Belinda. She called me Bunny. She determined I would be Bunny before I was born. I went through school as a Bunny. Everybody knew me as Bunny Bumgarner, which was my maiden name. Okay, so even in freshman in high school, I was still Bunny Bumgarner. Sophomore, I think it might have been the sophomore in high school, my French teacher said, "That's a child's name. Go by your real name." So I didn't go by Mary, I chose Belinda. So as time went on, I was still Belinda Baumgartner. As time went on, I have to cut, not, you have to leave out a million details. I was married to a man from India, and his name was Subramanian. So I'm going by Belinda Subramanian. Oh, there's so many tells before that. But anyway, so when I was publishing under
You're better at editing yourself. Go on.
publishing under that name, or so, I started dropping IAN because suddenly you could pronounce it. And I don't care if you say Subraman, 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 you can say it. But when you add IAN, it's suddenly like the subterranean, or I hope I said that
Yeah.
right. You know,
It's Armenian. Is it Armenian name?
well, everyone says,
IAN is almost always
but
Armenian.
my husband, that husband was raised in South India, and it was common in South India.
Oh.
And there might be like goes back thousands of years.
Persian Empire.
Maybe
Persia was big, right? I
huh?
mean, how much? I don't know. I don't know. Okay, go ahead. Go on.
Oh,
Your
this
name. Go ahead.
that's the end of that. So
Okay.
that's why I go by Belinda Subraman when I do the art, video, anything creative out there. It's that. I only use Mary Subramanian when I have to do something official.
So
You
to
know.
tie into the listeners who are still going for this epic ride here, if you post this thing, it'll be 2 hours long or whatever. It doesn't matter. Who you are. The world tells you what you are. You go and I always say this thing: be very careful how you touch the arts, because arts will touch you back. And that is the essence of beware the ego, beware the me and the I of that journey. As soon as you start believing your own shit, you can fall into your own, you can make your own religion, you can make your own nationality, you can make your own identity, you can make your own inner circle, and then you can make I am and the other world is not. And you can separate yourself from the nature of being, of soul. And then you have this contention, and then you have to live your reality within your own constraint, which was built within a constraint, which was built in a system. Their fear systems are very real. And when it comes to designing the reality of that everything is connected. It's all connected. Before and after life, the third dimension, the second dimension, whatever dimensions, whatever, portals, whatever, changing your mind, tangents when you talk.
Do you know Indra's net in some kind of Sanskrit knowledge, ancient knowledge,
Yeah,
and
no, I had to draw. I drove cab for 10 years. That's my school.
well,
Cab for 10 years and horse for
Indra's
10
net.
years.
Let's think of a spider web, and we're
Right.
all part of it. And anything that happens way over here, the tiniest thing that happens, there is a reaction. I mean, there's to the person, but there's also the web
There's
is.
the butterfly effect. That's
I'm
one
not
thing.
sure what is that the same thing? Where
Yeah,
you
it's the same thing.
feel you
The
can feel
other
it
is
somewhere. Yeah.
the other is Einstein's spooky action at a distance, because Einstein knew he didn't know something. And what he didn't know was that quantum physics was going to, explain that something can both be and not be at the same time, depending on whether or not is it observed, whether or not it's come from formlessness into form, uh, whether or not it just simply it lives, it is as a wave, or it becomes a particle. And it's both, but it only depends on whether or not it's seen. And they proved that over time. And that took a lot of time. That's called the double split experiment. And every 5-year-old should learn it, because that will break the mold of thinking what reality is. It's like the third dimension can only explain the second, But to explain the third dimension, you have to be in the fourth. You can't go backwards. And all that means is it's just bandwidth kind of a thing. And a lot of what I'm saying is out of my league of saying it as a scientist or a physicist or a mathematician or even a person of literary education, which I am not at all. I'm just a self-taught autodidact individual who has gained this thing called I am here now and uses this thing called words and language. And who are we? What are we? What are we? I'm a question mark. And at the same time, I'm just here now. And that's a question in itself too. And I'm okay with that.
I'm
The next
going,
moment,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
I'm going
Nope.
to guess that a lot of people who don't have a clue about what you're saying say bad things about you because they don't understand. Because they
It
have,
happened today. My best friend.
really?
Yeah, I'm an oddity of life. I don't live in reality. When you choose love over reality, no one's going to agree with you. Not unless you choose it. Go ahead, take out a gun, pull the trigger, and shoot me in the chest. I'll be dead, but I'm not going to change that love is better. I choose that. You know,
Wow.
put a rope around my neck and hang me because I'm black, and swing me from a tree. And it's not going to change because I'm a being. You can kill this, but you're not going to have the Mandela 27 years in a prison coming out and becoming president. You can't have that. You can't have my mind's free will to simply be, I am more than this. I am not going to be, you fear me, and so I have to be afraid. You have
Well,
to participate in your own demise on some level as far as the war, all the wars in the war end, and there's only two people left, and one's got blue eyes and one's got blue eyes with a little green in it.
and people don't understand that they're just projecting themselves onto the situation, onto the person. It's
Yeah,
their own problems that they're spewing out here, thinking that this person caused it, that this group caused it, and it's
yep.
just sickness inside that needs some.
It's the reality of survival. It's hunger, thirst, and fear, and hatred. The reality of survival. I've been held up by a gun in my life 5 times, 4 times. I saw the gun twice. I put the gun in my hand, took it away. You don't know what you're doing until this shit happens. And that's when I found out that I'm just, no, it's like, I'm going to die. You're going to die. You're going to go to prison. No, I just spent my whole life just being. I'm not more intelligent. When people don't understand me, it's because the things that I am saying are beyond the realities of fear. And survival is a reality of fear. I'm not telling you not to be hungry. I'm not telling you not to be thirsty. And I'm not telling you not to protect yourself if someone's about to kill you. I'm saying in your mind, you shouldn't kill back, hate back, and fear in return and make them fear you and fight to the death. That's an animal. That's just an animal's mind. That is the reptilian brain. The pineal gland and the frontal cortex and the frontal lobe, when you put a person in a fight or flight, which is basically watching Fox News for 20 years. That's all they do is scare you every day. We're them and that's us. We're them and that's us. And then the counterpart, and Edward R. Murrow said it. You know, when television became radio, look out. Uncle Walt was the beginning of like indoctrination. When 9/11 happened, they used to have to call my friends in Germany to find out what happened in America today. They didn't tell us. Everyone knows Building 7 is like and what I was doing as an artist and the activists were better poets. And then the human mapping of the human genome. Driving a cab is not a job. It's ugly. There's fumes and gas and 12-hour days and no food and foot brake and get in and get out. You can get robbed. You have a CEO and a criminal and anything could open a back door and get in and get out, pay you and not pay you. And then the system's corrupt and the dispatchers are corrupt and there's rules and regulations and the fighting between. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And I went through that. And who am I? What am I? And am I stupid, smart, slow, retarded, dumb, and all that? And at the same time, people think I'm a genius. I'm just a sum of every moment I've ever lived through, and that now I have this one. And so when people don't understand me, it's because I actually decided to live my life in the center of what is life for everyone, for air, for water, for soil. And while I'm here, all I want to do is leave a body of work. And so all I have is words and art and ideas and visions and concepts, and I have hundreds of them.
Oh, by
The
the way,
only
you should be on a show called Know Thyself.
I'll be on any show anyone asks, but I don't have a publisher. I never went to college. I taught a day of college for one day, and it was the only time a professor ever let anybody into his classroom. He gave me a quote on the back of my first book. Barber, his last name was. I gotta forget his first name. Book's over there. Emotional Geography and Poems were my first book. I split into two from the physics story.
Mm.
But that was the most beautiful thing anyone has ever said to me. Most people don't understand you, and they probably give you shit about who you are. And it's still happening. You're dumb, you're slow, you're stupid. No one understands you. What the fuck you talking about, CC? I never don't get that, but I can't stop being. These are the ends of my. I wrote a poem. I brought one poem to read. If I did read a poem, and it's called "The Dying Words of a Poet." You want to hear it?
Yes.
And so the exhale of life transpires, and what is gone lived with no guarantee, except perhaps the everlasting gratitude, the leave that was lived and let go, just as each letter became a word, and the source was uncontrived, invisible wonder, hopeless as passion bleeding out of an open vein, only to spill hope as completely unexpected joy. A death wish that only dreamed of being born true. The sight and silent sound heard alone in the moment of its creation by no one, and that was everything one could ever ask for. The only form of satisfaction ever to experience feeling satisfied. The only form of satisfaction ever to experience feeling satisfied. Living within time's transcend. Not a trace of nothing being wasted. Not even air was expecting anything in return. If another breath comes this way to form a word, the impossibility of another miracle as this one may be possible. Yes, these are possibly the dying words of a poet. So it's what you said is in the poem.
I want to say thank you very much for this conversation. And I think that for right now, we might say goodbye, but let's do this again if you would
You're,
like.
you're a beautiful being. I love you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Returned. All righty. Bye-bye.
And thank you for letting me be this thing I am. And you definitely have so much more than I do in many ways, and you can do so much more than I do. I want you to know that I value you. I don't think that I am, even though I talk a lot, I'm not smarter than you. I'm not more intelligent or anything like that. Because people do exactly that. They think I'm really intelligent and like, what the fuck is he talking about? I get both at the same. I'm so glad you said that in this conversation because I have to live
I
in that.
understand what you're saying, which is might be really weird, but I actually understand you.
Oh, I know you do. That's why I'm here. I felt it. I came in excited because I believed that before we started.
Well, glory, hallelujah. I might cut out these last few remarks because I haven't turned off the
But
record.
too good about you? Oh, you're fantastic. Leave it in there.